Admiral Park stood at the viewport of his ship, looking down at the blue planet called Earth. His dark uniform was spotless, metals gleaming under the ship's lights. Behind him, officers worked at their stations, tracking the planet's defenses. "Admiral, the Senate's orders are confirmed," said Lieutenant Kim, a young officer with sharp eyes. "Earth is to be annexed immediately." Park nodded slowly. Earth looked peaceful from space, blue oceans, green lands, white clouds. The humans had no idea what was coming. "Their weapons are primitive," Kim continued. "They still use chemical rockets and nuclear bombs. No shield technology. No faster-than-light travel." "And their governments?" Park asked. "Divided. Almost 200 separate nations. They fight each other constantly." Park smiled. This would be easy. A quick victory to add to his record. The hegemony had conquered 1,000 worlds, and Earth would be just another. 3 days earlier, the Galactic Senate had met in its great hall. Thousands of representatives from across the galaxy sat in rising tiers, their voices a constant murmur. "Earth must be brought into the fold," declared Fleet Commander Bayek, her voice carrying across the chamber. "Their resources are valuable, and their system sits at a key position." Only Counselor Lee had objected. "We know too little about these humans," he had said. "Our scouts report unusual things. They advance quickly. They adapt. They survive. They wage wars over dirt and oil." Beck had responded with a laugh. "They are children playing with fire." The vote was quick, 93% in favor of annexation. Earth would become part of the hegemony, whether its people wanted it or not. Now Park prepared to carry out those orders. The first step had been to send diplomats, as was tradition. 3 ships had gone to Earth's leaders with the Senate's demands. None had returned. "The humans must have detained our envoys," Park told his officers. "This justifies immediate action." He gave the order, and the ship's weapons locked onto a small coastal town. A demonstration, he called it, to show our power. The beam struck without warning. From space, it looked like nothing, a flash of light, then a small cloud of dust. But Park knew what had happened. The town was gone, vaporized in an instant. Thousands of lives ended. "Send the message again," Park ordered. "Tell them we require their surrender. Tell them the next target will be larger." On Earth, in what remained of the coastal town, David Reed crawled through the rubble of his home. His hands were bloody, his face streaked with dust and tears. He had been walking on the beach when the light came. He had seen his home, and his wife Maria inside it, disappear. Now he dug through the smoking ruins, calling her name. But there was nothing left. Nothing but ash and twisted metal. When he finally stopped digging, Reed sat in the dust and looked up at the sky. He knew what had happened. In his former life, before meeting Maria, he had been a soldier unlike any other. He had fought in shadows, in places no official record mentioned. He had worked with aliens, against aliens. He had been feared. They had called him Baba Yaga, the boogeyman. 10 years ago, Reed had put that life behind him. He had married Maria, built a home, found peace. Now that peace was shattered, he stood slowly, brushing ash from his clothes. In the distance, he could hear sirens as emergency vehicles raced toward the destruction. Soon the world would know they were under attack. Governments would panic. Armies would mobilize. But Reed knew they weren't ready. Earth's militaries couldn't fight this enemy. Not yet. He walked to his workshop, a small building that had survived the attack. Inside, beneath a hidden floor panel, was a secure communication device unlike anything built on Earth. Reed activated it. "This is Reed," he said simply. "The hegemony has attacked Earth. They killed Maria." There was silence for a moment. Then a voice responded, not human, but clearly shocked. "The fools," the voice said. "Don't they know who you are?" Reed didn't answer. He was already opening another hidden compartment, revealing weapons and equipment no human government knew existed. "I'll need my old team," he said finally, "and I'll need to access the defenses." They are operational, the voice confirmed. We maintained them as you ordered. Above Earth, Admiral Park waited confidently for the humans' surrender. He didn't know that, deep beneath the surface, in bunkers and hidden facilities around the planet, ancient weapons were powering up. He didn't know that calls were going out across the galaxy to beings who had once fought alongside the human called Baba Yaga. He didn't know that he had just made the worst mistake in hegemony history. In a dim bar on the mining colony of Proxima Centauri, veteran mercenary Han slammed his glass down so hard it cracked. The news played on a screen above the bar, showing images of Earth under attack. Those idiots, Han muttered. His three eyes, a feature of his species, all widened in disbelief. They actually attacked Earth. Beside him, Kang, a retired hegemony soldier with gray scales and a scar across his neck, looked equally shocked. They can't possibly know what they've done. The bartender, a six-armed being named Do, leaned over. It's just humans, primitive species. Why do you two look so worried? Han and Kang exchanged glances. They killed his wife, Kang said quietly. Whose wife? Asked a young hegemony officer at the next table. He wore a fresh uniform with new rank marks. What are you old-timers talking about? Han turned slowly. David Reed, the human they call Baba Yaga. The young officer laughed. Baba what? Sounds like a children's story. I wish it was, Han said. He rolled up his sleeve to show a prosthetic arm. I lost this fighting alongside Reed 10 years ago. Titan Station. We were surrounded by rebels. Command left us to die. Then Reed appeared, Kang continued, eyes distant, with memory. One human, no armor, just those primitive projectile weapons they use and a knife. That's not possible, the young officer scoffed. 3 hours later, 47 dead rebels. Not wounded. Dead. Han took another drink. Reed didn't even get scratched. Other patrons were listening now. An old pilot joined in. I transported him once. He was hired to extract a diplomat from the Song Empire. Their entire royal guard was hunting him. What happened? Someone asked. The pilot's tentacles trembled. He killed 3 elite guards with a writing tool, a pen, just a pen. The young officer still looked doubtful. If he's so dangerous, why haven't I heard of him? Because, said a new voice deeper than the others, the hegemony classified everything about him. They turned to see Admiral Joe, retired for 5 years, standing in the doorway. His uniform was old but perfectly maintained. Reed worked for us after Titan, for jobs no one else would take. The bar fell silent as Joe walked in. He rarely appeared in public these days. The Senate doesn't know, Joe continued. The current command doesn't know. They think Earth is just another primitive world. And now they've killed his wife. Han repeated. Joe nodded grimly. Maria Reed. I met her once. She was the only thing that gave him peace. The news screen changed to show more images. Hegemony, ships in Earth orbit, troops landing. A reporter spoke excitedly about the swift annexation underway. How bad will it be? Doe asked, all 6 hands busy cleaning glasses nervously. Joe looked at the screen. Do you know why they call him Baba Yaga? No one answered. It's from Earth mythology, a supernatural being, unstoppable, relentless. Joe sat heavily on a stool. When Reed worked for us, he had rules, limits. Now? He shook his head. I saw him once, said a quiet voice from the corner. Everyone turned to see an ancient diplomat, Ambassador Min, his skin wrinkled with age. After the Cortex Rebellion, 100 of our best soldiers sent to stop the rebels. All failed. Min sipped his drink with shaking hands. They sent Reed, alone. 2 days later, the rebellion ended. No demands, no negotiations, just over. What did he do? The young officer asked, no longer smiling. I saw the recordings before they were destroyed, Min whispered. I still have nightmares. Han stood suddenly. We should warn them. The hegemony doesn't know what they've started. I tried, Joe said. I sent messages to the Senate. They dismissed me as a paranoid old soldier. The bar's communication terminal beeped. Doe checked it, then looked up in surprise. "It's a general call, from Earth." He activated it, and a familiar voice filled the room. "This is Reed. The hegemony has attacked Earth. They killed Maria." Han and Kang stood immediately. Other patrons, mercenaries, retired soldiers, pirates, all rose as well. "We're coming," Han said simply. On Earth, deep in his hidden workshop, Reed prepared. Around him lay weapons no human government knew he possessed. On screens, he watched as hegemony forces established bases, confident in their superiority. Reed placed a photo of Maria on his workbench. Her smile, now frozen forever. He touched it gently, then turned to his arsenal. Across the galaxy, beings who knew the name Baba Yaga were already moving, heading to Earth. Some came to help. Others simply wanted to be far away when the storm broke. Above Earth, Admiral Park continued his invasion, unaware that he hadn't attacked a primitive planet. He had awakened its most dangerous defender. And David Reed, the man they called Baba Yaga, had nothing left to lose. Colonel June woke to alarms blaring throughout the hegemony base. Red lights flashed in his quarters as he grabbed his uniform and rushed out. Officers ran through the corridors, their faces tight with fear. "What's happening?" he demanded, catching a passing lieutenant. "Outpost 3 is gone, sir," the lieutenant said, "and 4 and 7 too, all contact lost." June hurried to the command center. General Song stood before a large screen showing the hegemony positions around Earth. 3 blinking red lights indicated the silent outposts. "When did this happen?" June asked. "During the night," Song replied, his voice calm despite the chaos around them. 58 soldiers gone, no distress calls, no signs of battle. "The locals have primitive weapons," June said. "How could they take 3 fortified positions without firing a shot?" Song dismissed the question with a wave. "They got lucky. Perhaps they used their environment. Poisonous plants or animals we don't know about." June wasn't convinced. He had studied the humans before the invasion. They were divided and technologically behind the hegemony, but something about them had always seemed dangerous. "Double the guards at all remaining outposts," Song ordered, "and prepare for a demonstration strike on another human city. They need to understand resistance is pointless." The next morning, Major Yoon didn't report for duty. When soldiers opened his quarters, they found him dead in his bed. The room was still sealed from the inside. There were no wounds on his body, no signs of poison or struggle, just a small metal disc, what humans called a coin, placed over his right eye. "What does it mean?" Song demanded when shown the coin. No one knew. But when the image was sent to hegemony intelligence, an urgent message came back. "Immediate evacuation recommended." Song laughed at this. Evacuate? Because of one coin? Ridiculous. That night, 2 supply ships in orbit disappeared. Not destroyed, and there was no debris, they simply vanished. 3 communication arrays on the ground stopped working at exactly the same time, though they were hundreds of miles apart. Colonel June called an emergency meeting. "This isn't random," he insisted. "Someone is targeting our infrastructure systematically." "Primitive. Guerrilla tactics," Song said dismissively. "Nothing our forces can't handle." Then the first video came in. Security footage farce. Outpost 7, recovered from its ruins. It showed a single human male walking calmly through the base. Soldiers fell around him, some before he even reached them. He carried what looked like primitive weapons, a metal tube that fired projectiles, a knife. But he moved with impossible speed and precision. "That's him," whispered an intelligence officer who had just arrived from the fleet. "That's Reed." "One man?" Song scoffed. "Impossible." "Not just any man," the intelligence officer said. "The one they call Baba Yaga." Before June could ask what this meant, another alarm sounded. Their main fuel depot was burning. Somehow, explosives had been placed at exactly the right spots to cause maximum damage. "All units on high alert," Song ordered. "Find this Reed and eliminate him." But the attacks continued. Patrols went missing. Equipment failed. And always, there were signs of just one attacker, a single set of footprints, a coin left as a calling card. On the 5th day, General Song's private shuttle prepared for takeoff. He had decided to return to the fleet to report personally. June watched from the command center as the shuttle rose into the air. The explosion was blinding. No warning, no malfunction alert. The shuttle simply erupted into flames and fell back to Earth. That night, every screen in the base suddenly showed the same image. A human male, his face calm, but his eyes burning with purpose. "My name is David Reed," he said simply. "You killed my wife. Leave my planet or none of you will." Colonel June ordered an immediate scan of their systems. "How did he hack our network? It's completely isolated." "Sir," a technician called, voice shaking. "This isn't just playing on our screens. It's broadcasting on all hegemony channels. Every ship, every base, they're all seeing this." June felt cold fear spread through him. This wasn't possible. Their communications were protected by the most advanced security in the galaxy. The next morning, June found a coin on his pillow when he woke up. He had slept with armed guards outside his locked door. There was also a note. "I could have killed you. Remember that when you make your choice." Outside the base, Earth's forests seemed quiet and peaceful. But June knew better now. Something was hiding in those trees. Something that could slip through walls, bypass security, strike anywhere. In orbit, Admiral Park received June's urgent message. "We have awakened something, not just a man. Request immediate reinforcements." Park dismissed the warning. One human couldn't possibly threaten the mighty hegemony forces. That night, Park's flagship detected a small object approaching. Too small to be a threat, the computers decided. Just space debris. Admiral Park first realized something was wrong when the lights flickered on the command deck of his flagship. One moment, all systems were normal. The next, warning lights flashed across every console. "What's happening?" he demanded. "Life support failing on decks 3 through 7, an officer reported, fingers flying over controls. "Internal communications down. Security doors activating randomly." Park's blood ran cold. "Security breach, how? We're in orbit." The main screen switched on by itself, showing security footage from inside the ship. A lone figure moved through the corridors. Human, male, wearing what looked like improvised space armor. Soldiers tried to stop him, but they fell before they could even raise their weapons. "How did he get aboard?" Park whispered. No one answered. It should have been impossible. The ship's shields were designed to stop anything larger than a dust particle. Yet somehow, this human had reached them. The ship-wide speakers crackled too, life with a calm, measured voice. "You should have never come here." On Earth's surface, the hegemony forces were facing similar impossible situations. Colonel June watched as another outpost went dark on his tactical display. Scramble response. "Team 6, he ordered. "Sir, teams 2 through 5 haven't reported back." His aide reminded him quietly. June slammed his fist on the table. How? How is he doing this? The reports coming in made no sense. Solo attacks against fortified positions. Advanced technology, appearing in human hands. And now, other humans were joining the fight. Veterans like Reed, using tactics no primitive species should know. On a secure channel, June contacted Admiral Park. "We need to withdraw. This planet, it's not what we thought." Park's image flickered on the screen. He looked harried, stressed. "The Senate has invested too much in this annexation. Failure is not an option." "Sir, with respect, we're not equipped for this." The intelligence was wrong. These humans have hidden capabilities. As if to emphasize his point, an explosion rocked June's command center. Through the dust, he saw a team of humans and something else. Non-humans, fighting alongside Reed's forces. They have allies, June realized with horror. Other species helping them. Across the galaxy, the Galactic Senate was in emergency session. Chancellor Min's hologram towered over the chamber. 12 ships lost, she demanded. Thousands of casualties? Against a pre-FTL civilization? The military representative looked uncomfortable. "The situation has Evolved, Chancellor. We're dealing with unexpected resistance. From primitive humans with chemical rockets? Min scoffed. No, the representative admitted. From technology we didn't know existed. Underground facilities are activating across the planet. And the human called Reed, he has friends. Former mercenaries, retired soldiers, species who normally fight each other are uniting to help him. In a corner of the Senate chamber, old Ambassador Lee listened with growing dread. He had warned them. He had told them Earth was different. Now they were learning the hard way. Back on the flagship, Admiral Park ordered every available soldier to hunt down the human intruder. But Reed seemed to be everywhere and nowhere. Systems failed, weapons locked up, and always that calm voice. Over the speakers, "Leave or die. Prepare all weapons," Park ordered desperately. "Target Earth's major cities will force their surrender." "Sir," his weapons officer said, "targeting systems are offline, and our engines—" The officer swallowed hard. "We're moving, but we didn't activate thrusters." Park rushed to the viewport. Stars slid by as the massive ship changed position. Someone, something, had taken control of their drive systems. On Earth, June watched in awe as ancient structures began to rise from the planet's oceans. Massive platforms, clearly artificial, breaking the surface after centuries underwater. "Sir," his aide said, voice shaking. "Energy readings from those structures, they're off the charts." June understood now. Earth hadn't been hiding because it was weak. It had been hiding its strength. When the first energy beam lanced up from the ocean platform, June expected to see the flagship destroyed. Instead, the beam enveloped the ship in blue light. When it faded, the ship was intact but completely powerless, drifting in orbit. All across Earth, similar platforms activated. Each one targeted a hegemony ship. None were destroyed. All were disabled. Then a new transmission reached every hegemony soldier and ship. Reed's face appeared on screens, his eyes cold but focused. "Your invasion is over," he said simply. "You have two choices. Leave Earth space immediately or stay as prisoners. You have 1 hour to decide." In the Galactic Senate, Chancellor Min received the transmission as well. She looked around at the panicked faces of the senators. "How can this be happening?" she demanded. "How could we have been so wrong about Earth?" Ambassador Lee finally stood up. "Because they wanted us to be wrong," he said. "Earth wasn't hiding from us. They were hiding for us, and now we've ruined everything." The object was David Reed, in a suit designed for vacuum, coming to hunt. The Great Hall of the Galactic Senate fell silent as the hologram of David Reed appeared at its center. Though just a projection, his presence seemed to fill the vast chamber. Thousands of representatives from across the galaxy watched with a mixture of fear and fascination. "You came to my home," Reed said, his voice calm but cold. "You killed my wife, Maria. You thought Earth was weak." Chancellor Min rose from her ornate seat. Her ceremonial robes couldn't hide how she trembled slightly. "The Senate extends its deepest regrets for this misunderstanding," she said. "We offer reparations. Your fleet has 24 hours to withdraw completely from Earth space," Reed interrupted. "Any ships remaining after that deadline will never leave." The senators murmured nervously. In the week since Reed's ultimatum to the invasion forces, reports had shocked the galaxy. The mighty hegemony fleet, disabled without a single ship destroyed. Ground forces captured or scattered. Admiral Park himself, brought to the Senate in chains, his once proud uniform now torn and dirty. "This human," Park had told them, "is not what we thought. None of them are. Their technology was never primitive. They have weapons we've never seen before." Now Reed stood before them, representing a planet that had suddenly become the most feared in the galaxy. "Earth has remained isolated by choice," Reed continued. "Not out of fear, but because we chose peace. That peace is over now." On the screens around the Senate chamber, images appeared, massive structures rising from Earth's oceans and emerging from beneath its mountains. Defense platforms that had remained hidden for centuries now fully active. "We hid these because we didn't want to join your wars," Reed explained. "We watched your species fight each other, We decided to wait until you were ready for us. An older senator stood up. If you have such power, why didn't you use it immediately when we attacked? Reed's eyes hardened. I wanted to handle this personally. Everyone in the chamber understood what he meant. The stories had spread quickly. One man who had decimated entire hegemony units. The legendary Baba Yaga taking revenge for his wife. Commander Bayek, who had pushed so hard for Earth's annexation, stepped forward despite her guards. If you're so advanced, why did you let us attack at all? You could have warned us away. Some lessons, Reed said coldly, must be learned the hard way. Chancellor Min tried again. What are your terms? What does Earth want from the galaxy now? Earth will take its place in this Senate, Reed answered. We will open diplomatic relations with all willing species. But know this, any aggression against Earth or its people will be met with absolute force. As Reed spoke, ships began arriving in Earth's system, vessels of many different designs, from dozens of worlds. On board were the allies Reed had called mercenaries, soldiers and friends who had worked with humans in secret over the years. We're not alone, Reed said as if reading the senator's thoughts. There have always been those who knew what humanity truly is. Ambassador Lee, who had warned against the invasion, slowly approached the hologram. What is humanity, truly? He asked. Reed's expression softened slightly. We are what you could become if you chose cooperation over conquest. We advance quickly because we learned from our mistakes, the same mistakes your Senate keeps making. The vote for withdrawal was unanimous. Not a single senator dared oppose it. 1 month later, David Reed took Earth's first official seat in the Galactic Senate. He wore simple clothes, not the elaborate robes of other representatives. At his hip hung a small pouch that everyone knew contained a coin like those he had left with his victims, a reminder of what happened to those who threatened what he loved. His first address was brief. Humanity stayed isolated not because we feared the galaxy, but because the galaxy wasn't ready for us. Now we have no choice but to join you and help you prepare for what lies beyond. As Reed took his seat, Admiral Park, awaiting trial for war crimes, was permitted to speak with him briefly. Why didn't you kill me? Park asked. You could have destroyed our entire fleet. Because then you wouldn't learn, Reed said simply. And there are things coming that we will all need to face together. What things? Park whispered, suddenly afraid. Reed just looked at him. Why do you think we built those weapons in the first place? It wasn't for you. That night, the oldest senators gathered in a private chamber, sharing stories they had collected over centuries. Stories about Earth, about humans who had appeared and disappeared throughout the galaxy's history. About the legends they had inspired, and they whispered to their younger colleagues about the human called Baba Yaga, and why one should never harm what a dangerous man loves. In his quarters, David Reed looked at a photo of Maria. It's done, he said quietly. They know now. They'll be ready when the time comes. He placed the photo down and turned to the window, looking out at the stars that were now officially his people's neighborhood. Humanity had stepped onto the galactic stage, and the galaxy would never be the same.